So guys, hopefully you can see my screen. Okay, so hide, there you go. Okay, so relatively quick class, primarily because what you need to do over the next few weeks is to really just build on your content, right? So we talked about content marketing as our main method for really putting yourself out there and also building your brand, right? So again, with that said, okay, remember our next steps, right? In assessment one, you did your strategy, okay, which is great. Okay, so you already have a target market, you already have your unique selling points in terms of what you want to, or the messaging you want to send out there, okay? And you also have specific ideas, right, in terms of how you reach that target market and target audience. So that means you do LinkedIn stuff, YouTube, etc. Okay, so again, our main strategy will be content marketing, right? So when you say portfolio, when you say reel, a portfolio of images or a gallery of images is basically content, right? It's just a small form of content. Okay, content can be pretty much, it's a lot of different things. So you have to widen your idea of what content means. So a lot of you think that a resume is something you need. A reel is something you need. Yes, you need those, but those are just forms of content, right? The resume is a written content, and then you have your reels as video, right? Visual. So what you are trying to do really is to create or build your content, okay? And you'll end up sharing that content in different platforms, okay? So as I mentioned, right, we already talked about this. It can be reels, vlogs, etc., tutorials. As I mentioned, I already mentioned this to everyone. Your resume, you might say there that you're very active and you're a very a social person, and you love working in the team, but that is text. But just showing an image of you working with different team members or working in a group, laughing and then collaborating with one another, that in itself, that particular image is more powerful than something you just write. Okay, so that automatically shows everyone that this person is really outgoing perhaps, or really likes working in a team. Okay, so that's the idea behind it. Anyway, okay, so our strategy is pillar content strategy, really common for content creators or content marketers. So the idea is we have a main project. Okay, now I understand that a lot of you don't really have a lot of projects at this stage, but it doesn't mean that you won't be able to start practicing this method, right? So even if you don't have a lot of content, so I understand that you're just you're students, you're graduating, you don't really have a lot of stuff that you can show, quote unquote. But the thing is, you can already start doing this, right? Practicing this, even if you don't have the content yet, because once you do have the content, then you know exactly what you need to do. Okay, so again, the idea is you have your pillar content, okay, and from that pillar content you can create different sub-contents, right? So maybe you created a short film, or maybe you completed an assessment in school, in uni, and from that single assessment, you know what? Let's show some behind the scenes. Let's show a showcase of it. Let's create a mini tutorial. Let's create some hero frames that you can share in different platforms. Okay? Now, you guys already know why we're doing this, right? So in assessment one, we talked about strategy, and you know exactly why we're doing this. Okay, so it's a way for you to engage your contacts and your market. It's branding, networking, all of that stuff. Okay, but a really important reason why you're doing content marketing is that for people or your existing contacts to just remember you. Okay, so just checking. I think Vitor and Safita are 3D. I think some of you are in UX. So just to give you guys an idea, okay? I probably get 1 to 2 messages from contacts and maybe from other studios every month or every 2 months, asking if I know someone who knows this, or knows, an artist that can do this, or someone who's interested in working on a project. So maybe twice a month, sometimes 3 times a month, or maybe and sometimes it's just once every 2 months, or maybe, again, what I'm saying is I regularly get those messages, right? So if they ask me if I know anyone, what I normally do, because I don't really use a lot of social media, what I usually do is just have a look at my LinkedIn page. That's the only thing I look at. Okay? So, how do I know? In my LinkedIn page, I probably have around 600, 700 contacts there. How do I know? How do I remember the really good students or the really good artists that I've worked in the past? I only remember them if they actually continue feeding stuff in my, sharing stuff in my feed. So for example, you just share that you completed this project. Okay, I can see it. Okay, I remember this person, right? So that's how I remember stuff, right? I remember if you're consistently there, okay? If you're not there, okay, so for example, I worked with you 3 years ago. I remember you're good. And yes, we're in LinkedIn, but you're not really sharing a lot of stuff. So I slowly but surely I'll start forgetting that you're there, because again, I probably have 1,000 contacts. Okay, so what's happening is I don't really remember that you're there. So when someone comes in, as I mentioned regularly, right? A studio comes in. Do I know someone who can do modeling? Someone who can do this, etc. The only thing I remember automatically from my LinkedIn are the ones who are either the students or the artists that I worked with who consistently share. Or not consistently like every day, because that's going to be annoying, but it's I can see them, right? When I looked at LinkedIn. Okay? So again, that's a really important thing, because a lot of you, maybe you don't have a lot of, I guess, studio contacts, but a lot of you have regular contacts. Okay? You just want that situation where they can still remember you, right? So that's why we're doing this. Okay? So for example, if you're in Instagram, you're in Facebook, I'm not saying at all that you share every single day or every single week, but you want to do it regularly. And the reason for that is you just want people from your contact list, from your network, to just remember you, okay? Because most of the time, you're just one out of maybe 1,000 contacts, or 1,000 followers or 1,000 contacts that person has, okay? So that's why we're doing all of this. Okay, so hopefully that's clear. Again, that's on top of the stuff we talked about in the first assessment, right? So hopefully that's clear for you guys why you need to be active. Okay, I'm not saying at all that you become YouTubers. I'm not saying that you become content marketers. The thing is, you're actually content marketers. You're marketing yourselves, right? So you're a content marketer for yourself. Okay, so again, that's the idea behind it. Okay, so hopefully that's clear. Okay, so just some notes with regards to how we're approaching stuff. And again, it's going to be a relatively quick class because, as I mentioned, right, you're going to really just work on this particular idea of content marketing. Okay, so the issue we have, or some challenges we have for this class, is number one, I don't recommend you guys to actually use the platforms. Okay, so meaning I don't actually recommend that you start sharing stuff in LinkedIn automatically, Facebook, any platform that you have in mind. And the reason for this is we're still practicing our skills. Maybe you have a project that's not really good yet, not really visually there. So meaning it's not as competitive as other people. So what we want to do is we want to do this in a relatively safe space. Okay, so we want to practice our content marketing skills, but we want to do it in a safe space, meaning we don't want to go there in LinkedIn or Facebook where we might get a lot of backlash, okay? Or maybe a lot of bad comments that are not really helpful for us, okay? So what I want to do is we just have to do it in a platform that perhaps is safe for us, okay? So that's number one, and I'll talk about what we need to do. Okay, so again, this is an important thing, right? We just need to be in a platform that, again, we don't want to use the live platform, so we don't want to automatically do it in LinkedIn because we're not yet, maybe some of you are not yet at the stage where you're confident of sharing your stuff. Okay, so for example, if your project that you've done in the past, you're not really confident, so you don't really want to share in LinkedIn yet, that's totally fine. I understand that. That's why we just need to do this in a safe space. Okay, so I'll talk about how we'll end up doing this. Okay, so again, guys, okay, what we're doing is we'll practice this content marketing skills in a safe space. So we don't want to do it directly in LinkedIn. We don't want to do it directly in Instagram, etc., YouTube, because otherwise we might cop some negative comments. We might not it might be something that we don't really want to share, but you're forced to share because it's part of the class. Okay, so I don't want that. So I want it to be a safe space. So I'll talk about what you end up doing later on. Okay, we'll just use a platform. You can use a website of your own that's private, but maybe I'll talk about, maybe we can use something like Adobe Portfolio, or again, any website that is not really live out there, right? So we can just share within this class. Okay, so I also understand, right, that a lot of you have projects that are not yet there. I guess you're not confident of sharing. Although I do recommend, even if you don't feel that it's that good, eventually you have to be able to share stuff, okay? That's a reflection of who you are, right? But anyway, okay, some of you might not be confident with the quality of projects that you've done so far, okay? And I understand that. You're not confident of sharing that, okay? But the idea is this class is really just a practice, primarily a practice of content marketing, okay? So even if your image or your project isn't there very that you're not confident that it's that good, it doesn't matter, okay? We'll just assume, quote unquote, that your whatever you're sharing is good, okay? So again, we're practicing the process of content marketing rather than making all of those projects look really good, okay? So again, the purpose of this class is to practice those things, okay? Not necessarily to create a portfolio, a project that's automatically looking good, okay? And again, some of you might not have a lot of projects, but again, we might end up focusing on stuff that are not really project-based or non-technical stuff. Because again, for example, if you want to showcase, let's say, a website, if you want to showcase a film, if you want to showcase, let's say, a 3D environment, okay, that takes time to do, okay? So we don't have time in this class for you to actually refine your environment or your 3D model to make it look good and make it look presentable, okay? So we'll probably look for ways, other things that we can really share out there, okay? It might be, your sketches. It might be your love for design. It might be your, passion to working with other people. It's the soft skills, perhaps, that we're trying to share, okay? Now, as I mentioned, personal projects outside uni, totally fine. Okay, meaning if you've done something that's not uni-based, so for example, if you've done some sketches, if you've done some work that you're allowed to share. Okay, that's really important. You're allowed. Well, actually, it's okay because we're doing it in a safe space, even if we're not sharing it everywhere. So it's fine. We can do it here. Okay, so hopefully that's clear. Okay, in terms of what we're trying to do. Okay, so with this said, guys. Okay, let's just talk about the assessment. Okay, because what we're really doing. Right? I just want you to build as many content as you can. Okay? As I mentioned, you won't have time in this class to actually take an old project. Maybe in the last assessment we can, but you won't really have time to create a totally new project because, you probably have other stuff as well. It's really just trying to practice content marketing, but at the same time, maybe just maximize or use the stuff that you already have. Okay, but what we want to do is try to build as many stuff as we can. Okay, so how do we end up doing that? Okay, as I mentioned, we look for your best projects or activities. Again, it can be a project, it can be an activity. What do I mean by activity? For example, if you really want to a key selling point for you is that you're well traveled and that you experience a lot of different cultures and you can work anywhere and work with anyone. Okay, so that's your adaptability, that's your flexibility. So a good way to showcase that is that you can share images of your travel. It doesn't have to be images of yourself. Maybe it's images or photos that you've done that you've taken in the past, right? So again, those images are useful because it does show that you're well traveled and you're also very keen to with regards to working with other cultures or other other people. Okay, so that's just an example, right? It can be an activity. Then each of those projects or main activities, we treat it as a pillar content. And then what happens is we can create some subforms out of that. Okay. So I'm not going to specify how many. It's going to be obvious anyway if you've done enough or you didn't do a lot. So for example, if you just shared 4 images at the end of the assessment, in the assessment, that means you probably haven't done as much as you could have with regards to this. Okay. So okay, as I mentioned, we already talked about just looking for, it might be achievements that you've done, activities, etc. Okay, as I mentioned last week, right? The first step for us is OneDrive, meaning we just have to collate all of those stuff and put it in OneDrive. And I think most of you did it. So perhaps let's just have a quick look, and I'll explain what you guys need to do next. But let's just have a look at what you guys already have. Okay? So let's see what you guys already have. Okay, let me just have a look. Again, our first step, right, is OneDrive. As I mentioned, your content, okay? Your favorite projects. As again, we're doing pillar content, okay? So what we're trying to do, so where is it? Okay, so pillar content strategy, right? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to look for your best projects, and we're going to build content out of that. So let's have a look at what you guys have at this stage. Maybe I'll just look for, I'll just share it in Teams and week 5. There you go. Okay, so what I'll do, guys, is just have a quick look, right? Now, just make sure that it's shareable, right? So otherwise, I won't be able to look at that. So week 5, for example, under challenge, there you go. So for example, I'll concentrate on the students who are here. So perhaps Brittany, for example, has some stuff there. Okay, so good job here. Okay, so you have around 4 projects, 4 pillar contents. And then again, see, sign in. Okay, so some good examples there. Again, I might not just, I probably won't share it unless it's okay. So if you're not comfortable of sharing it here, that's fine. I'm just showing that, you know what, yes, so that's good. You have some pillar content there that you can already start building. Okay, let's have a look at the rest. So theta, for example, art direction. So it looks like you have, okay, so these are projects that belong to your art design creation skills. Is that correct? So you have fan art there. Then you have projects on top of that. That's perfect. Okay. So again, I'm assuming that you're going to populate that later on. Okay. And then we'll have a look at maybe a few more. I won't be able to go through everyone's. So Vitor, for example. So we only have 1 for Vitor, but as I mentioned, right? Your love for anime, you might have gone to an anime convention, or you might have created some art. You can also plug that in, okay? Because again, if you want to showcase, or you want your reputation to be someone who is very knowledgeable with anime and anime styles, then that's something you can also put in your content marketing, right? So that's environment, so that's fine. And then maybe a few more. So I think we have Vitor's here. Okay, Confet is here. Okay, see, so they have infographics, minimalist projects, project design, websites, etc. So these are the projects that you've done in the past. Okay, perfect. Okay, great. Okay, so with that said, guys, okay, let's have a look at Jeffries, I guess, because almost there anyway. So maybe let's have a look at Jeffries as well. So similar stuff. So I like that. So see, notice that, see, music stuff, Jeffrey feels it's important. He's putting in there, okay? And there's a lot of other projects there. Okay, so that's good, everyone. Okay, so again, you have to go back to your strategy, right? You have to go back in terms of what reputation or what's your unique selling points, because those are the things that you really want to concentrate on. Okay, so again, the reason for that is it's very competitive. If you just, if you're just putting it out there that you're doing what others are doing, you don't really have a unique selling point, then it's going to be hard distinguishing you from any other fresh graduate, right? So again, if it's just, who has the best portfolio, it's not, again, it's okay, but you can expand on that. Okay, so again, at this stage, okay, you have stuff in OneDrive, okay? As I mentioned, right, from earlier, we just need a safe space for you guys to share it, because I don't want you to share that in LinkedIn yet, because maybe you're not comfortable. I don't want you to share that in Facebook, Instagram, etc. Okay? Some of you are fine with it, but for us, we just want to do it in a safe space. because as I mentioned, there's really, the problem with social media is there's going to be negativity out there. So we're just trying to limit that. We're just trying to concentrate. Some of the stuff that you probably have are not yet at the level that you're comfortable with sharing. But still, we still need to practice it. So what we're doing is we're going to try to do it in a safer space. Okay, so my recommendation, right, for a safer space, guys, is we're going to be using Adobe Portfolio. Okay, now again, some of you might want to use it. Some of you might have a website that's private that you can share. Totally fine. Okay, the reason why I'm using Adobe Portfolio is everyone has an Adobe account. Okay, and if you have an Adobe account, I think you can access Adobe Portfolio, and you automatically have, I think, whatever storage you have in your Adobe account, you can also automatically use that in Adobe Portfolio. Have you guys used it before? Anyone here who've used Adobe Portfolio before? It's not that popular, but the idea is it's at least private. If I search your name, it doesn't automatically show it. Okay, so let me just show you, I guess, what I mean. Okay, so I'm going to put here Adobe Portfolio, guys. Okay. So again, it's just a way for us to share, right? Because what you're doing is you're going to be sharing Facebook posts, quote unquote. Okay, you're going to be sharing LinkedIn post. Okay, but I don't actually want you to share it in LinkedIn and Facebook. Otherwise, you'll cop some possible negativity, which I don't want at this stage. So we want to do it at a safe space. Okay, so I'm using Adobe Portfolio as a way for us to share your posts without actually sharing it in the platform. So hopefully that makes sense for you guys. Okay, I want you to share, only do LinkedIn stuff when you're comfortable already and when you actually want to already start engaging. But if you're not yet comfortable, let's just do it in a safer space. So what I'll do, guys, is I'll just use my Adobe account, right? So you guys have your Adobe account. I also have mine. So I'll just use this. Okay, just quickly checking if that's clear for the students here and online. Is it clear why we're trying to do it in a safe space? Does that make sense for everyone here as well? So for students online, from Anesu to Vitor, etc. So we just want to do it in a safe space, right? So you can create an image, put a post there, but we don't actually end up sharing that in LinkedIn because, again, we just want something that we can just practice. Okay, so what I'm doing. Again, it doesn't have to be Adobe Portfolio. The reason why I'm using Adobe Portfolio is because you have storage there and you can already, if it's video relatively big, it's free, and then you can automatically upload stuff there. Okay, so but let me just show you guys. Okay. Okay, I'm just geez, that's even wrong. You know what? That's actually correct. Sorry guys. Geez, I forgot what I used. There you go. Okay, so sign in. I'll just use my I'll just use my torrents one. So again, this is the one with my Adobe account. Again, you need the email with your Adobe account. Okay, next. So let me just sign in. It does take some time to sign in. So quick sec. Okay, there you go. Okay, so the reason why we're doing this, as I mentioned, right? It's not to sell Adobe as your website creator. It's just for us, and let me just delete this. Okay, so it's just for us, right? To have a space where we can share stuff. Okay, so this is Adobe Portfolio, guys. If you want to use it for your website in the future, totally fine. But I'll just create a full portfolio, and then I'll just use a simple, I guess. I'll just use this one. So these are templates, right? So full portfolio templates, I'll just use that. Okay. Actually, you know what? I don't want that. I'll just look for something really simple. So sorry guys, let me just, for welcome page. There you go. I'll just use a welcome page and then this one. Okay. So it's just, I don't build websites, but again, see, this just allows me to create my own websites. Okay. But again, this is just a place for us to share our stuff, right? So what we can do, okay, is here. I can create a page, okay? And in this page, for example, I'll just remove this. This is work, delete collection, okay? And what I'll do is I'll just perhaps use this, okay? Maybe I'll call this my first project. Maybe, let's say, again, it mimics what you have in, in OneDrive. So for example, under pages here, I'll just change this, edit title page, and I'll just call that, and I'll just call that project 3D environment, for example. Just an example, right? So this is my 3D environment example, okay? Or project, maybe Coke, if I've done work with Coca-Cola. Coke, for example, okay? So there you go, okay? Did that even save? Sorry, guys, let me just change that. Edit page title, and then project Coke, okay? There you go, geez, okay? So I think this is a collection, not quite sure, okay? Or you know what, I can just create a new page. So basically, I can create a new page and I can just use a collection. So you can use page, but I'll just use a collection, meaning if you have one project, you can create a collection of pages within that project, okay? So for example, just to show you guys, I think you guys, for example, Jeffrey's, right? So for example, see, Jeffrey has this band play musician app, okay? That means if you're sharing this in portfolio, so everything is just, so see, that means music project, for example. So what I can do is I can create again, right? There's a lot of additional stuff there. So maybe add collection. I'll call that music project. Okay. And let me show you why we're doing this. Okay. And within that music project, okay, let's just consider that. Okay. Maybe that's your main content. That's your pillar content. Okay. So maybe a page there. Okay. A page within that music project. So I'll just create a new page, click on plus. Maybe it's going to be my sub content. So this is your main content, the music project. I'll just have sub content. So I'll just call that sub. And maybe that's going to be my designs, for example. Okay, so maybe it's sketches. Okay, so sub sketches. Okay, guys. And then create a page. Okay, it's going to be under my music project. Okay, so the idea behind this is, again, the idea is, see, you have your music project. Okay, that's your pillar content. And then you have your sub content behind it. Okay, now the reason why we're doing this, okay, is because for every one of those sub content, okay, I can, for example, if this sketches is for, let's say, if this is for Facebook, okay, so let's say, let me just remember what Jeffrey wants to, okay, so I remember Jeffrey wants to show that he's really into music, okay, and maybe in his strategy, he wants to show that he loves music and he wants to do it in Facebook, okay, so maybe under sub sketches, okay, or maybe I know sketches sounds weird, but anyway, I'll just add in the sub sketches there, maybe I'll add a text, okay, so maybe I'll add text there, and this is my Facebook, so Facebook post 1, okay, so again, this is my post, this is a possible post I can put in Facebook, okay, and then maybe for this post I'll just add, again, I'll show a sketch that I've done. Okay, so I'm just going to add, I think. Let's see if I remember how to do this. Let's see. So again, I don't use this a lot there. Plus, and then I'll add an image. Okay, and maybe that image I'll just use, again, maybe you created some sort of sketch. Okay, so I'll just look for maybe desktop. I don't really want to use this, but anyway, guys, I'll just use that. There you go. Okay? So see that one? Maybe it's a sketch, right? Imagine that's a sketch that you've done. Okay? Again, the idea behind this is a Facebook post, okay? That you're going, that's Jeffrey's using to showcase his, I guess, so it's weird that sketches, maybe music. So again, music love, for example. Okay? So I can't edit this. Maybe I'll edit it here. So again, I'll just change this, edit title page, sub. So again, it's content to show music pictures. Okay? And again, I'm just having a hard time changing it. Music pics. Okay, there you go. Okay? So just imagine, this is a music, let's say Jeffrey has an image of himself playing the guitar with other musicians. Okay, so again, just imagine Jeffrey has a picture of himself playing the guitar with other musicians. He wants to use that piece of content as a way to showcase his love for music, right? Because again, Jeffrey wants to be showcased or wants to be known or wants to have a reputation for a UX designer that loves music. Okay, so that's what Jeffrey wants, right? He wants to be known as a music designer, a UX designer that loves music. So maybe this is a possible Facebook post. Just imagine, because I don't have images, right? Just imagine that's Jeffrey playing the guitar. Okay, so what I want you guys to do is just practice that, right? So maybe that's an image. What are you posting there? Okay, again, it can be an additional text. Just imagine that's a post. I'll show you maybe. Canva is really good at this, so maybe we'll have a look at that later on. But maybe here, guys, see, I'll add, and maybe I'll add text. Okay, so maybe I'll use AI. Okay, so ChatGPT. Just be careful with AI because if you don't tell it what to do, everything will just be organic. So can you create? Oops. So can you create a Facebook post of me with playing the guitar and showing that I love music and working with musicians. Okay, text. Okay, there goes. Jeez. Okay. So anyway, it's not letting me, guys, so I'll just directly do it here. So anyway, I'll add the text, right? And then maybe Jeffrey says, here, last week I played with an amazing band, jazz band, for example, jazz band, and we played 5 songs to a stand out crowd. Okay, there you go. Okay. So again, yes, we can do this in Facebook, but we're doing it here primarily because we just want a safe space. Okay. So the idea is, see, this is now a practice for you guys, right? Again, we can expand this, but what this means, right, is with this image and with this post, Jeffrey is able to practice content marketing. Again, we already talked about why this is important. Why is this important? Because if you just do this regularly, right? For example, if Jeffrey is in my feed or is in my contact list in LinkedIn or Facebook, okay? What happens is, even if it's 2-3 years from now or maybe next year, if Jeffrey continues to share stuff, I can still recall, oh, you know what? Yeah, I remember Jeffrey is really good at this, musician. So if someone, for example, Dave, okay? So Dave Aegis, for example, you know that Dave probably gets like 3 or 4, messages from companies and contacts looking for, artists and designers. Okay, so how does Dave, for example, know who to recommend? Most likely, Dave will recommend students or past workers that he still remembers. And how does he remember, for example? Maybe he remembers primarily using LinkedIn or Facebook. That means Dave has like 1,000 friends in Facebook. Okay, so that means if you don't actually share and update your stuff, eventually he may end up forgetting you, or may not, he might not be you might not be the first person in his mind. Okay, that means if he recommends someone, you might not be the top 5 people he recommends. Okay, but if you constantly share stuff like this, I see constant, not like every day, I'm just sharing regularly, right? What happens is, Dave can still remember Jeffrey. Oh yeah, he loves music. He's a really good student. So if someone contacts Dave, he'll know automatically who to talk, who to recommend, right? Because again, Jeffrey is constantly, not constantly, but regularly updating stuff. Okay, so what we're doing, guys. Now the question is, what image? Okay, because not all images are the same. Okay, because you have to make sure that whatever content you share looks good. Okay, it's a reflection. When I say look good, I mean it's a reflection of your brand. Okay, so again, whatever content you share has to be a reflection of your brand. So what's your brand? We already talked about what your brand is, right? That's your first assessment. You already know what your brand is. So I don't know what your brand is, but if your brand is you want to be known as someone who loves studying, someone who loves anime, someone who loves sport, and a designer at the same time, that's your brand. Okay, that's the message out there. So again, the images, any content you share has to be on brand. Okay, so what this means, guys, is now you have a space to start sharing different sub-contents, right? So for example, this one, okay, that might be a Facebook post. Maybe, let's go back to the pages, okay? Maybe in the same music project, right? Jeffrey is able to, maybe I'll add another page. Maybe in the same music project, Jeffrey has videos of himself. So maybe this one, music videos, for example, or videos of himself playing the guitar, or playing the keyboard. So keyboard playing. So why is this important? Okay, maybe I'll put that under music project, right? So see, guys, you have music. Geez, there you go. Okay, so that's your music project there. Okay, so it might be a video this time, right? It's going to be short videos. So I'll just put in a video. Maybe it's this one. Open. Okay, and again, the beauty behind this is it's connected to your Adobe account. That means, see, I can share. So it's being converted. Okay. So the good thing is you don't have to worry about spaces, right? So what I can do is now I can add another text. So maybe this is a Facebook, sorry, not a Facebook, maybe it's a YouTube. So maybe in Jeffrey's strategy, he needs to create a YouTube channel. And maybe that YouTube channel is just, of him playing the guitar. And again, that's the reason why strategy is important, because you can't do everything. Okay, maybe you won't have time to create a YouTube channel and a Facebook, an Instagram, and a Facebook account that's always active. You have to be able to balance it. But anyway, just imagine this YouTube. Okay, so this is going to be YouTube, and then YouTube. So maybe I'll add a text there. Again, the reason why we're doing this as well is because obviously you're going to be sharing the site. Okay, that's the only way I can see what you're up to. Okay, not up to, but I want to see, obviously, that's what you're going to be submitting in the assessment, right? I want to see this page so I can see the different content that you actually did. Anyway, this is YouTube post 1. And then maybe again, this is, again, I love to use ChatGPT. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's letting me. So let's try it again. ChatGPT. Okay. Okay, let's try it out. Hopefully it works. Can you create video description. Oh, Jesus. Okay, there. Of me playing the keyboard, uh, having fun, for example. Fun. Add hashtags. Maybe the hashtags for Jeffrey is maybe loving music, and similar tags. Okay. Okay, so unfortunately, right, it's just not letting me use it. I think maybe it's blocked. But anyway, see, you put that there, and then now that's another piece of content. Again, the only issue is how does it look? How does the video itself look? So see, this is the one, and then there you go. Okay, so if you have a look at my pages, guys, now I have, again, video, keyboard playing vids, and I have music picks, etc. Maybe I'll add one more. Okay, maybe let's do something more professional. Maybe it's going to be minimalist projects that Jeffrey has. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll add another page. So maybe, you know what, I'll add another collection. So maybe the collection is called minimalist design, or maybe it's a project. Maybe project website. Okay, minimalist. Okay, and I'll just create a collection. Okay, so maybe in this particular project, guys, Jeffrey has a lot of stuff related to, and I'll just put this here, showing minimalist designs, because he wants to be known for minimalist designs. Okay, and then create a page. Okay, create page. Okay, so there you go, right? So pages, and then there's minimalist design there, and maybe, right, this is going to be, again, this is going to be a LinkedIn post, and then we have add image. So let's see if we can just add that image. Okay, so maybe, again, I'll just use the same one. Not sure if I'm allowed to use this. Nope. So image. So I'll just use this one, guys, again. Okay. So just imagine that's in the project that Jeffrey created, right? He created a really nice image there. It might be a video of minimalist design that really showcases the minimalist design. Gee, I just wish I have, because I don't want to type a lot of stuff. Any free? I'll try this one, Chat GPT. So, can you create a post, a LinkedIn post of talking my minimal design approach in creating a web page that I will share an image of, showcase my love for minimalism, and again, not ideal, right? I'm just doing this because I don't have time to actually think of something, right? So it's going to be something that's really your brand, right? So I'm just putting something here, and passion for design. Okay. Okay, so hopefully there you go. Okay, so again, assuming that this is let's just assume that Jeffrey made this. It's really fits the messaging and the brand that he has. So what I'll do is I'll just post it here. Okay, text, and then there you go. Okay, and then again, the reason for this is we're doing this as practice, we're doing images for now. Next week, we'll start creating videos. Okay. And there you go, right? And now I have something like that. Okay. So, is this clear, guys, in terms of what we're trying to do? So remember, right? What we're trying to do is we're doing it in a safe space where you don't actually see, negative messages. And we also want to do it in a place where, you're just comfortable sharing it. So again, the idea is this clear for everyone in terms of what we're trying to do? So for your assessment, right, what you're going to be doing is creating as many of this as you can. So there's going to be images and there's going to be videos. Some of them will be a breakdown of the project. Some of them will be images. Okay. Now, a lot will depend on, for some of you who already created a lot of projects, then you might end up doing a lot more videos and a lot more complicated stuff. But some of you might have created just a few projects. So maybe what you'll end up doing are more images. Okay, similar to this one. Okay, but just checking for the students joining us online, if it's clear in terms of what we're doing for assessment 2, we're just trying to build. Okay, so using that OneDrive link, what we're doing is we're just trying to build content in your Adobe page. So what happens, guys? Let me just show you. I can publish this site. Don't worry, it's not going to be searchable. So I'll just view my site and I'll just share that with everyone here. Okay. Yikes. Maybe I'll remove my pages. I'll just use this one as my home page. Okay. Set as home page. Okay. And I'll just go here under pages. Let's see, publish site. There you go. Geez. Okay. So see that I have music project. Okay. And then I have project website as well. And then let me just see if I can just share this with everyone. Okay. And I'll just share it here in the chat. Okay. There you go. Okay. So guys, as I mentioned, right? Again, don't worry about this. It's not like this is searchable, but even if it is, you can always go back to your editor and unpublish it. So just go preview, or maybe instead of publishing it, just unpublish, I think. Let me just see where the settings is. Settings. There you go. Okay. So unpublished site. Okay. So I can unpublish the site if I want to. Okay. So it's just checking if it's clear for everyone what we're trying to do for assessment 1. So just checking from Vitor all the way to Akash, Konstantin, Anisu, etc. in terms of what we're doing. Okay. We're trying to build that content of yours. Okay. So with that said, guys, okay, if we already know that in assessment 2, we're trying to build as much content as we want. Okay. There's going to be 2 visual contents that are going to be prominent for what we're doing. There's the images, the stills, exactly what I showed you. And there's going to be video stuff. Okay. So video we'll cover next week. So that means creating, it can be videos of yourself. It can be videos of you working on your stuff, or it can be a breakdown of your, of a project that you've done. Okay. If you need to, so even if you need to fabricate it, quote unquote, because you already done the project, right? Even if you need to fabricate the, the idea or the image of you working on it, that's fine. I want to see how you actually take photos of that, because you don't have to share your face, right? It might be just an image of your drawing. It might be an image of your hand. But the idea is we need to find ways. Again, depending on your messaging, we need to find ways to create content and use that for marketing, and promoting your brand. Okay. So with that said, guys, okay, I mentioned for week 6, okay, we use a safe platform, and our platform will be Adobe Portfolio. If you want to use something else, totally fine. But as I mentioned, it's connected to your Adobe account, and that's going to be free, and you have significant space there. Okay. And later on, if you want to use it as a website, convert that in the website, you can use that as a website as well. Okay. So that's good. Next, guys. Okay. The question is, how do you create your visual content? Okay, so obviously you can use images, you can use Photoshop, you can use all of that stuff. Just checking, everyone here comfortable with using Photoshop? Okay, Photoshop, you're fine. Okay, so we don't have to. And I won't cover Photoshop anyway. It's not really my tool. Anyone here from the students joining us online, if you're not comfortable with Photoshop or any Adobe tool for design, uh, what I'm saying is you can actually just use something like Canva, sorry. Have you guys used Canva before? Yep. So really popular site, right? So the reason why it might be useful for you for some is because you can just look for, let's say, see, LinkedIn post, okay? So you can just use a template, okay? And with that template, for example, maybe you have, again, a lot of this stuff I don't really like, but again, because it's not my brand, meaning that's not how I actually don't promote my brand too much anymore, because it's just a personal thing, but we'll talk about that maybe in the future. But anyway, so for example, this one, guys, okay, it's a LinkedIn post, okay? And then what you can do is you can use one of those. Again, some of you might not like quotes. I don't like quotes, but maybe it's, you know, within your specific branding, right? Maybe you're the type of person you want to show out there that you really like to encourage people, you're supportive of people. So how do you showcase that you're supportive with people? Maybe every once in a while you share a quote, okay? Or maybe it's or maybe you want to share knowledge. You're someone who's really passionate about sharing your design ideas. I think someone mentioned sharing design ideas. See, maybe you do something like this. Did you know? Okay, so for example, right? Or maybe design tip or minimalist tip, because I don't know, a lot of you like minimalism. So minimalist tip 1. Tip. Honestly, I don't like tips, primarily because if you're a student or if you're just if you're a fresh grad, because usually tips, well, totally fine actually. It's a personal thing for me, okay? Because if you are giving tips, make sure you're really good at what you're doing, okay? Otherwise, you'll be someone who's not as good but offering a lot of too much advice. But again, that's just me, right? But again, maybe minimalist design tip. Okay, so again, the reason why you might want to do this, that you might want to offer minimalist design tips, is because your branding, right? Your branding is someone who knows minimalism, someone who really looks at minimalist design, and you want to show out there that you actually do a lot of this stuff. Okay, so maybe, right? What I'll do is maybe here, because we're already here, can you create a post? Can you create a LinkedIn post? Again, I don't have time to actually work on it, right? LinkedIn post about design article of minimalism that I read and how I enjoy it and agree with it. Do this. Let's say succinctly. Okay. So just an example. See? So again, okay, I'll just put it out there. See, guys, plug that in. Okay, I'm not saying at all that you do this all in AI. I'm just saying that, see, this is just an example of a post, right? Not sure how this works actually. Not sure. Geez. There? Sorry, guys. I'm not really. Let me just. Sorry. So let me just do this and do this. Okay, there you go. Okay, so again, just an example, right? See, totally fine, right? Although I do prefer to actually have images there, right? So what I'll do is, again, maybe just imagine I'm doing it. I might add my own image. So again, it's the quality of the content, right, that we're looking for. So maybe I'll upload an image, and then maybe I'll just use upload files, and I'll go with the screenshot again. Okay. Hopefully I'm not doing something bad with that. But anyway, okay. Then I'll add it in. And just use that as a background. Replace background. Okay, there you go. Okay, so maybe, right? This is someone or one of you designed, something there. You put that as an image, then you add a text there. Can I just add a background to this? Anyway, guys, again, I'll leave it up to you, okay? But again, see? So what happens is I now have another piece of content, right? I understand that you can do this really fast. I just want to see what it looks like, okay? So is this clear in terms of what you guys are doing, okay? So you can do something like that, right? So the reason why this is important, okay? This is content. Maybe that's an image of one of your designs, or maybe you do a lot of sketches. Maybe it's an image of your sketch. And then there's a tip there in terms of, not a tip, maybe it's just some sort of quote or something that describes or supports your branding, right? And then again, that might be a LinkedIn post, okay? So maybe I'll put here LinkedIn. So I'll just save this. Forgot how to do it. File, and then export. Okay, so I'll save this. Save, download there. Okay, PNG, download. Okay, so what happens, guys? See, I can now perhaps plug that into my Adobe page. Okay, sample. I'll put that in the desktop. Sample. Okay. Okay, so then in my Adobe page portfolio, see, maybe one of my pages there. I might put that under minimalist designs, and then I'll just perhaps add another one, for example, here. Okay, maybe this is going to be LinkedIn post or Facebook post. Okay, then I'll add another image. And then I'll just put sample, that one. Okay, and then there you go, guys. Okay, so see, what I'm doing is I'm just slowly building content, right? Again, this is just for this class purpose. We're not going to be sharing that outside the class. Okay, so is this clear in terms of what we're trying to do, guys? Okay, so with this said, okay, let's have a look at our week 6 challenge. Because what I want you guys to do, okay, I want to start seeing stuff there, meaning I just want to see stills for now, okay, images, okay. Again, you have to look at your strategy, meaning you have to really look at your key selling points. Because if it's just random stuff, for example, you have, you're playing basketball there, for example, and it's not really your branding, it's just you playing basketball. That's not really what we're looking for, right? So again, it has to be images, it has to be content that directly relates to your strategy. Okay? If you want to be known for someone who loves minimalism, someone who loves anime, someone who loves, hiking, someone who loves, working with other people, that's the type of content and imagery that we want to see, right? So it has to be on brand. Okay, so for example, if you want to be known for minimalism and then you show something that's not really minimalist, then that's not up to brand. But if you're there, right? You want to show that you're flexible, you can do any type of design, then maybe yes, spread it out. Okay, so again, really depends. The only person who can really say that this is up to brand, this is correctly. This is a correct piece of content for your brand is you, right? I can't really look at it and say, you know what, this is not your brand, because your brand is you, okay? So I'm going to trust that whatever you put there is going to be something that's really speaks to your brand and really speaks to your messaging, okay? And I think that's it, everyone. Okay, so what I'll do, I told you relatively quick. If you're joining us here, if you're joining us online, that means you want to start doing stuff. Have a look at your OneDrive page. Start having a look at what your key selling points are. Always look at your key selling points. Always look at your strategy. So for example, your strategy is LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. So you need to create a YouTube channel. So that means, see, those platforms, you really have to create content for that. Okay. So for example, if your strategy doesn't involve YouTube channels, then don't create a YouTube video, right? If your strategy does not include LinkedIn, then don't create a LinkedIn post. Okay. Only consider the stuff that's in your strategy. If you can revise your strategy if you want. So if you've discovered, you know what, I actually need LinkedIn, so you can just add that in. But I want you to just focus in on what platforms you actually need for your strategy, right? I can't really tell you what specific ones you do need. Okay, so let me just lastly, I guess, okay, what imagery, again, don't create videos, just create stills for now. So stills can be the forms of designs. It can be a slideshow or carousel, meaning, guys, if you're planning to use Instagram, have a look at Canva, for example. And design, projects, templates. Okay, so see, guys, maybe social media, and maybe it might be Instagram reels or stories. Okay, see, and then you can start adding that in. Okay, so again, really depends on the brand. I recommend that if it's imagery, it has to be images, well, your own images, right? Because again, it has to speak to your brand. If you share, for example, this one, okay, yes, it looks cool, but is it yours? Okay, does it actually show your design skills? Does it actually contribute to your, to your brand? For example, if I put a Coke logo in, and it's my post, even if you're not allowed, what you're doing is you're just promoting Coke. Okay, you're not promoting yourself. Okay, so again, hopefully that's clear. Okay, so with that said, okay, I'm going to just share this week 6 challenge. And as I mentioned, right, it's about populating that Adobe portfolio page. Okay, and then sharing the link in Teams. Okay, so final check with the students joining us online if that's clear. Okay, in terms of what you guys need to do. So I'll just share that in Teams again. There you go. And I'll just put start post. So are you a content marketer? Technically you are, right? You're a content marketer for yourself. Okay, if you want to expand that skill, it's one of the more in-demand skills out there. So content marketing job. Okay, and the good thing about that is, see, so there's a lot of that, really. So content marketing. So basically, it needs a lot of digital media. It's 3D, it's film, it's video, it's UX. So it's something, right? So see, that's quite a lot. See, so it might be something worth looking into as well as a career path for some of you who really enjoy doing it. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just share this here. Okay, and this is DPO. Okay, there you go, guys. Okay, this is week 6 challenge. And again, I'll automatically know who among you has that knack for content marketing, because the stuff you share is going to be impactful and eye-catching. Okay, so think about that, right, when you do some of this stuff. Okay, so hopefully that's clear. And let me just I already shared that here. Okay, post it. Okay, so as I mentioned, right, you actually get a lot regard job, Glassdoor, for example, or what's Indeed. See, quite a lot, really. So see, social media, content marketer, artist marketing, promotional planner. So a lot of content marketing stuff. Okay, so I'm not saying at all that you become one. I'm just saying that it's a good thing to practice. because again, you're a content marketer for yourself, right? So with that said, guys, I think that's it. Okay, hopefully it's clear. I'm going to stop the recording at this stage. If you need help with anything, just chat and let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next week. Next week, we'll have a look, because images is easy because you have Canva and you know your Photoshop stuff. So it's going to be easy for you to create good content, right? Maybe videos is something that you haven't done a lot yet. So we'll have a look at that, okay? So for some of you are really good at it. Some of you will create breakdowns of your, or before and afters. Basically, you can create a slide. So this is this sketch, and then this is the final thing. This is my prototype, and this is my final one. Okay, so let's see what you guys come up with. Okay, so looking forward to seeing that. I'll stop the recording at this stage, and I'll start recording here as well.